Ask yourself this one question. They can't explain it. It doesn't make any sense. Do you trust them? Let me rephrase the question. Would you trust these people with your children? Would you leave with the people in the House of Representatives, the people in the White House, the people in the Senate? Would you trust these people, the lobbyists, with, could you just take care of my kids for the weekend? Would you do that? Let me make this a real scenario. Dads, moms, how do you feel about sending your kids to be an intern in the Capitol? Do you sleep well at night thinking, oh, well, they're perfectly safe with all of those people in the Capitol. They'll watch over my 19-year-old girl. Do you feel comfortable with sending your daughter or your son to intern, to be a page? Let me ask you this, moms, dads, they're about to get into bed with business and unions. They're going to take care of your health care. Do you trust them, moms and dads, with your children? Do you trust them to make the right choices? Do you trust them to be responsible? Do you trust them if your children say, hey, mom and dad, I want to sign up, I want to be in the military, and I want to go over to Afghanistan or Iraq? Do you trust that they are currently making the right decisions based on what is best for our country, best for our troops? Let me rephrase that. Best for our children who have volunteered to serve our country. Do you trust them with your children in Afghanistan and Iraq? I do not. Why would you trust them with an additional 1/6 of this economy? Why would you trust them with the billions of tax dollars going to come their way? When they tell you that, oh, well, you know, we're spending too much money, while they're spending too much money. And Barack Obama says, you know, this deficit is really out of control, while he has quadrupled the spending. It doesn't make any sense. So let me give you the crackpot numbers. Let me tell you why I say, unless you go the exact opposite direction, unless you begin cutting spending, cutting programs, firing people in the government, shutting the doors on this gigantic monolithic corporation called the United States government, unless you go the opposite direction, this country is over. Quite a statement. Let me give you the figures. Fiscal year 2009, our national debt is projected to be in another 5 weeks, $12.2 trillion. Next year, $14 trillion. At this time in 2011, $15.2 trillion. This time, 2012, $16.3. 2013, $17.5. 2014, $18.6. 2015, $19.7. 2016, $20 trillion, almost $21 trillion. In 2017, $22 trillion. 2018, $23.2. 2019, $24.5. To put it into perspective, if you took the profits of all of the Fortune 500 companies, Fortune 500, from last year, you take their profits, that's after the losses and everything else, you take their profits, it would take us 145 years to pay off our current deficit. Not the 105 or 106 trillion dollars, just this deficit, just this one book. It would take 100% of the profits made by the Fortune 500 companies last year, 145 years of that stacked back to back to pay off the current $12 trillion. You tell me how America survives. It does not, unless you go in the opposite direction. Okay, if George Bush would have told you in 2000 that I am going to add $6 trillion of debt by 2008, 2009, that I will add $6 trillion to the national debt and double the size of the national debt, would anyone, I don't even think George Bush Sr. would have voted for his son. Everyone would say that would be insane. But if he said, I'm going to add $6 trillion to the national debt, and I'm going to do universal health care as well, which none of that will be kept on the same accounting books. You see, because our national debt is now $12.2 trillion. But the real liability is now currently $106 trillion. That means, look, the federal government makes the rules. They'd all be in jail. These people are worse than Bernie Madoff. They're keeping 4 separate accounting books. The real number is $106 trillion. No way to pay that. Ever. Can't do it. Healthcare will go onto that set of books. So everything that's in this is not counted in the national debt. This is counted in the unfunded liabilities, which is 106. But let me go back. If George Bush said, I'm going to raise the deficit by $6 trillion, would you have voted for him? The answer is no. For a myriad of reasons. Irresponsible. 2, if he promised $6 trillion in spending, what would the number actually be at the end of 8 years? Well, that's what he did. George Bush added $6 trillion. We doubled the deficit under George W. Bush. Doubled it. We went from just under 6 to 12. Actually, about 11. Now we're at 12.2. The CBO's own plan. I'm sorry, it's actually the OMB, the Office of Management and Budget. Their plan, what they are stating, we're more than doubling. We're going from $12 trillion in 10 years to $24.5 trillion. That does not include this health care plan. This is the tipping point. You've got to make a decision. They are going to vote on this thing on Saturday. On Saturday, before Thanksgiving. They're going to vote if we should just discuss it. Let's just discuss it. No discussion. No more spending. See, they call the Tea Party people radicals. We're not radicals. We are sane, living in an insane world. In your right mind, you would not listen to people who say we're on the brink of destruction and we must be responsible with our money. And they're planning on doubling the size of the national debt within 10 years, and that doesn't even include this. Do you remember we said if we don't fix health care, if we don't fix Social Security, if we don't fix Medicare, Medicaid, if we don't do that by 2018, it's over. Remember that? David Walker has been beating his head. He's the chief bean counter, was for years. Nonpartisan, both sides. He said they're all corrupt. He had to get out of there to ring the warning bell. Danger, it's coming. Well, it's here, gang. Why did it speed up? Because the economy collapsed. And I have news for you. It's only going to get faster if we don't slow them down.